Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This war in Ukraine did not only trigger a military action by Russia in Europe, but also a Russian diplomatic expansion. And the diplomatic expansion could be observed by following Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's trip itinerary. And he was a busy bee in the past maybe 2 or 3 months, especially in the past 2 weeks. He toured Asia, he toured Africa extensively, he toured a lot of countries in order to see who's who, what's what. That means we're going to probably open this new business, which is a new club, as a counter to the big club. And are you in or not? And a lot of countries are in. On the structure of BRICS, Brazil, India, China, Russia, South Africa, developing countries, economies. On the Shanghai Cooperation, how do you call it, organization, the same, that's another one. And that's not good because Russia is getting very, very, very cozy with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was under US's protection, if you know what I mean, for some time. Some say that the Kingdom of Saudi, or the crown, the monarchy over there, let's put it this way, is in power just because the Americans promised we're going to take care of your protection and we will provide you with weapons and you're going to provide us with you know what. So this some individuals claim, and I see evidence to support those claims. It seems like Russia, after Biden made some stupid questions, made some stupid statements towards Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, the relation soured between the two countries. Even though Biden came over there, kissed the ring, didn't work. And that is by, as an evidence, is Saudi Arabia's turn off 2 million barrels of oil per day. So the supply dropped, and then they sell to the Asian countries at a discount its oil versus the United States or Europe. And didn't pick up the phone of Biden, yelled at Jake Sullivan when Jake Sullivan talked about Khashoggi, the guy that was murdered and whatever, it killed the guy in Saudi Arabia's embassy in Turkey. Anyway, so Russia is in. It seems like the United States is a little bit out for now. It's too focused on Ukraine, it seems like, and the Russians are going through the back door into these guys' butt. So let's see what's going on here. This article comes from Sputnik, and this is from today, the 12th of February, 2023. So, we read that Russia's relations with Saudi Arabia may reach level of strategic partnership, envoy says. And it's an old picture, but he's Lucas smirking Lavrov. And it's like, hey, you like it? Yeah, I'm with Putin, man. All right. Moscow's relations with Riyadh may reach the level of a strategic partnership, Russian ambassador to Saudi Arabia Sergei Kozlov said in an interview with Sputnik. And I'm quoting, a feature of our political interaction with the kingdom, which has a real prospect of reaching the level of strategic partnership, is a regular and trusting dialogue at the highest level, end quote, the ambassador said. 3 days ago, if you remember, maybe not, before the Russians cut off 500,000 barrels of oil a day production, on top of the 2 million by the OPEC and Saudi Arabia, that happened 1 day after Putin and Salman had a phone conversation. Now, another interesting thing, is that a lot of countries answered yes to Russia's call for BRICS expansion. That's Argentina, that is Iran, that's even Turkey, a lot of countries. In the Africa, you got Algeria, Algeria, and there are other countries that are already sent their application paperwork to be reviewed by the BRICS countries and probably accepted in the new club. It's expanding. now the Russians also, Egypt applied for the same BRICS membership about 2 days ago, 3 days ago. I made a video yesterday. And so Russia is right now in Egypt. And today, a minute ago, I covered Sudan. Now, what's Sudan doing in all this? Well, the Russians will, and this is the article I covered, Sudan will allow Russia to build a naval base on the Red Sea coast, the Associated Press reported. Now, where is Sudan? Right here, the Red Sea. So you got Egypt right here, now, under a Russian, BRICS. They want to be a member, and they will make their old economic transactions in their currencies, ditching the dollar, which is bad. The same bad for the Americans. This is Sudan right here. Right, the Americans have a military base here somewhere. And then this is right here, Saudi Arabia. So we got, again, this is Sudan, Saudi Arabia, across from the Red Sea. All right, and we go here, Saudi Arabia, Red Sea, Sudan is right here. This is obviously an older, how do you call it, map. Because if you see here, Sudan at least seems, I think, smaller, or maybe it's a new map. It might be, I don't know. But here, the situation is, I think here is Americans have a military bases right here in this area. So the Russians will have one right here. Americans have in Saudi Arabia as well. But I'm saying and Egypt is going to be on Russia's side, which was for some time because of whatever happened in the Middle East. If you remember the Soviet Union, and who got to help whom, against whom, if you remember those wars. And you find out that Egypt was with Soviet Union in cahoots for some time. So anyway, this is a very important route, communication route, transport, naval route. I think about 80% of the world transport, naval transport goes through this, the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. So not good. Remember when that ship blocked the Suez Canal right here? It was a tragedy. But the Russians offered an alternative to this. I think it's called the Eastern or the Northern Passage or something. They tried to create to reach Europe, and which is shorter and faster. So from China, which is the main exporter to Europe and so on, to come to Europe is shorter to go through north, go to the Bering Strait, go on top to the North Sea when they get into Europe, south of North Pole, but it's usually frozen over there. That's the Northern Passage is frozen. But I think the Russians somehow managed to make some, create some channels or something that would cut here and there, and they shortened it with months or weeks. I think it was weeks of traveling and distance. And so it's time, space, money, right? Instead of going around, and going through the Suez Canal. So that's another challenge offered by the Russians. And now they will have a little bit of a more cozier relationship with Saudi Arabia. You have Sudan, military base, naval military base, obviously. And the other one is going to be Egypt. Now, if you look on the map here again, that is the whole Red Sea right here, including the Suez Canal, is left and right. But it doesn't mean Saudi Arabia is going to jump on Russia's bed all of a sudden. After all, it's got Americans around here. So I think they just play at both ends. That's what they do. Sudan risks and Egypt risks. It's not going to be anything happening here at the canal, because that's going to be a third world war in an instant if this gets blocked or the Russians try to do anything about here. That's definitely going to be World War III. No surprises, no questions about that. That cannot close. That cannot be controlled by anybody, if you know what I mean. So Saudi Arabia, as I said, building the relations with Russia more than before, which is, as I said here in this title, Russia's relations with Saudi Arabia may reach level of a strategic partnership. That's close to allies, isn't it? Anyway, and that's on because of oil mainly, and because of it seems like personal problems between a semi-conscious president of the United States of America, led by some guys with, and Saudi Arabia, which, it seems like Mr. Mohammed bin Salman has a personality and has an ego, good or bad. He's got an ego, he's got a, and then he respects himself for good or bad. And the problem is when you, in diplomacy, you have to know when to strike someone's ego to, hey, you're great, because the goal is to get something from the other person. That's the goal. They don't care if you tell that guy is the greatest person that ever lived and will ever live. Just give me what I need. That's how it is in diplomacy. But these guys, the Americans, forgot those kind of things because they think they're the greatest. So then, and they get stuck in that one, and because they have the power, like the lion. You see how the lion shows up on the savannah? And it's a dead, fresh kill by the lionesses or whomever, the hyenas. He just goes and gets it. It's not going, oh, may I have a bite, please? No, everybody else does that. They're waiting until the lion is done, and then they come and feed on the whomever kills that animal over there. That's why the lion doesn't have, is not sneaky. A lion is just powerful and does what does best, pushes everybody around. So United States forgot about a diplomatic way of dealing things because it doesn't have competition. There would be two lions. Maybe they will. But it used to be a little bit of two lions with Soviet Union. Since 1991, it's only one lion, and now unfortunately there are about two that are growing. No, Russia and China, and challenging the big lion. And the lion forgot how to talk and to negotiate diplomatically with other countries. They still think that, hey, I'm gonna punch you in the face if you don't do this. Threats, blackmail, regime change, and straight bombardment or a military invasion with NATO because you violated some rights of I don't know what kind of. They will find something because they're perfect, but you are not. So, and these guys now they have an option. They say, wait a minute, I don't have to listen to you, lion. I'm going to go under the other guys, the other lion's little wing, if lions have wings, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so bad news for United States, and I think it's too busy. They're too busy with Ukraine, and the Russians have been busy bees. Lavrov especially, very busy bee, and he's 1,000 years old too, so I don't know how long he can take it. But probably a lot of zzz in him too, like anybody else over there, in order to function like whoop, 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 whoop. Biden is the one with the resuscitation, bam, bam, bam. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.